The Animal Crossing series got its start all the way back in 2001 with a Japan exclusive on the N64. Since its release, Animal Crossing has gotten 4 mainline games, 3 spin-offs, and appearances throughout other games. While the first decade gave us 3 mainline games, this past decade has been incredibly unique in terms of content for Animal Crossing. We only got 1 mainline game, and the other years were filled with spin-off titles. This is Chewy Plays Nintendo, and today I'm taking a look back at the Animal Crossing series over the past decade and how it developed in this time. The decade started off with a bang. By September 2010, Nintendo had dropped a small amount of footage of the new Animal Crossing game they were working on, and it looked different. The elongated bodies, the new designs, the public works projects, it felt like Nintendo had heard the complaints regarding Animal Crossing City Folk and really worked to revamp the series in a much more significant way. While I still think City Folk was a wonderful title, I definitely recognize that it didn't push the series too much further. New Leaf felt like it took that criticism to heart and worked to update the game and push the series forward. The major new gameplay element it added was the position as mayor. With this newfound power, you could build public works projects, set new laws, and play a more vital role in the development of your town than ever before. Previous titles all focused around your own little home and life. The main growth was focused around paying off your mortgage. New Leaf gave us the same goals we had in previous games, but expanded them by giving us the public works projects and a growing town. As we played, we unlocked new items to build around our town, and new shops opened up to give us more ways to customize our characters. It was a huge addition that gave longtime players much more to do around their towns. While New Leaf is a well-respected game in the series, and often the game most people would argue is the best in the series, it was the only mainline game we received for the decade. The flaws that the game has have become more clear after being the only mainline game we've been able to play over the last 8 years. While I'm not going to go in depth with that because there's a lot to cover in this video, this game launched Nintendo into a decade of experimentation with the series. We were now 4 games deep into the series, and Nintendo decided it was time to play around with the franchise. So let's enter the next era and take a look at all the new things Nintendo tried with Animal Crossing. During our wait for New Leaf to release, Nintendo was busy with the launch of their follow-up to the massively successful console, the Wii. Unfortunately, that follow-up tried to ride the success of the Wii and caused much confusion among the market. The Wii U was Nintendo's first HD console, and as soon as it was announced, we all started dreaming of an HD interpretation of Animal Crossing. In fact, it was taking so long for New Leaf to come out, I was starting to wonder if the game was pushed to the Wii U. While it inevitably wasn't, it seemed like Nintendo also wanted to experience these wonderful characters in beautiful HD. This all started with a very strange and quirky competitive multiplayer game called Animal Crossing Sweet Day. This game appeared on the Wii U launch title Nintendo Land, a game full of theme park attractions based on various Nintendo franchises. Animal Crossing was no exception. Sweet Day allowed you to dress up as Copper and Booker and chase fiendish animals as they tried to steal candy throughout the town. The look was adorable and the game was hilariously fun. It was nice to get a little bit of filler while we waited for New Leaf. As mentioned, the Wii U came with dreams of an Animal Crossing game in high definition, and it wasn't just a dream for fans. Nintendo also seemed interested in high-quality visuals of Animal Crossing characters. Animal Crossing Plaza was an app that gave us just that. This app allowed us to sign in, see villagers in vibrant visuals, and learn little bits and pieces about them. While a simple interpretation of Animal Crossing, it did lead us to suspect that Nintendo was starting to collect HD assets for a full HD game on the Wii U. It truly felt like Nintendo was preparing for a follow-up to New Leaf. However, New Leaf had just released, and it would be a very long time before we saw what was next for Animal Crossing. In the meantime, we saw a variety of cameos through other series. Nintendo ran a lot of experiments with the 3DS. One of them was augmented reality. The 3DS came with AR cards that allowed us to see our favorite Nintendo characters in the real world. One application was dedicated to taking photos with those characters. Photos with Animal Crossing was a set of cards that let us see several different special characters in our world and take photos with them. This app only came out in Japan in 2013 and Europe in 2015. The game is downloadable in the Japanese eShop, but it was only distributed as download codes in Europe. It never made it to North America. In 2014, the next iteration of Smash was finally planned to release, and it seemed like it was drawing from more and more series. Animal Crossing was finally going to get much bigger representation with a playable villager fighter entering the fray. Villager featured 8 different outfits that changed its gender, skin tone, and style. The character was given a lot of Animal Crossing inspired attacks and weapons, and was even playable in the first demo that ever came out for the Smash game on 3DS. It was incredibly fun to finally see an Animal Crossing character fighting in Smash. It definitely surprised people familiar with the series. One of the strangest collaborations with Animal Crossing had to be the costumes with Isabelle and Rossetti in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate for the 3DS. You could dress up feline as Isabelle or Rossetti and have them join you on your hunt for giant monsters. One of the most exciting cameos for Animal Crossing was the DLC pack number 2 in Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U. The DLC added playable villagers, playable Isabelle, and a track inspired by Animal Crossing. The track even featured 4 different seasons and gave us a beautiful look at what was possible with Animal Crossing in HD. Honestly, by this time, it was 2015, we'd had a good 2 years with New Leaf, and after seeing the Animal Crossing track in Mario Kart 8, I knew this was what I wanted to see out of the next Animal Crossing game. I wanted to see something as beautiful as what we saw here. However, 2015 really led Nintendo further down the rabbit hole, and they pursued the ideas of spin-offs much further than any of us even expected. Early in 2015, Nintendo revealed that yet another 3DS Animal Crossing game was on the way. We were understandably confused. What of the Animal Crossing Plaza? What about all the HD Animal Crossing representation in games like Smash and Mario Kart? Are there no assets built out for an HD Animal Crossing yet? Not yet, Nintendo said. They were instead using the existing assets from New Leaf and creating a game fully focused around design. Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer was our first official spin-off game for Animal Crossing. While normally spin-offs aren't the end of the world, it did seem like very strange timing. I mean, I love the idea of Animal Crossing spin-offs and would gladly see more of them, but this wasn't exactly what we were all waiting for. Regardless, Happy Home Designer was what we got, and it actually introduced a lot of new ideas to the series. The biggest new addition to the series was Amiibo cards. 4 series of Animal Crossing Amiibo cards for a grand total of 400 cards were going to be released during the first year of the game. The cards gave us something physical to collect that was Animal Crossing related. It was incredibly difficult to find Animal Crossing merch. I spent summers going to conventions trying to find something, but it proved mostly fruitless. But for once, we had our own little series that we could collect and enjoy. The cards were simple in game, they called certain villagers and allowed you to decorate their home, but the decorating aspect was really improved in Happy Home Designer. From moving furniture in half increments to adding rugs and ceiling items, we got many more options to make our designs feel more alive than ever before. When E3 2015 rolled around, we all knew there was Animal Crossing news on the way. We had already heard about Happy Home Designer and expected to hear more about that, but we also had suspicions that Nintendo was finally going to put those HD assets to use in a new HD Animal Crossing title for the Wii U. We were right, but we were also very wrong. The big HD title Nintendo had been working on was called Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. It was a party game focused all around Amiibo. We were not expecting this at all. Now, I love party games, I adore Mario Party, and I can't help bringing them up whenever friends are around. I'm always down for a good party. An Animal Crossing party game was, and still is, an exciting concept to me, but for the most part, critics and fans alike agree this game missed the mark. While I'm glad we got more Animal Crossing memorabilia to collect, I still feel like Amiibo Festival was a poorly executed game. There are some bright spots to the game for sure, but they're just that, shiny spots on an overall dull surface. It definitely didn't help that everybody was expecting the new Animal Crossing game to be this big HD mainline title that we were all waiting for, but it only became more clear that Nintendo was not anywhere near developing that new game. In the summer of 2016, we got the news that there would be an Animal Crossing Direct that would cover a huge update coming to New Leaf. This was unprecedented. After all that waiting, 3 years after the release of New Leaf, we were getting an update to the game. Welcome Amiibo was a major update to New Leaf that introduced Amiibo to the world of mainline Animal Crossing. Overall, this update brought new life to the game for me. I was playing on a daily basis. Once again, I was collecting Amiibo cards and scanning them in every single day. There was even a new set of Amiibo cards introduced just for this update. They featured older characters that had not returned to the series. They appeared in campers displaying their style. You could scan them in, visit their campers, and invite them to live in your town. Not only that, you could scan in figures and see how special characters lived when they weren't at work. I thought this feature was very cute, but it also confirmed my deepest fear. Nintendo hadn't been working on that big Wii U title like I thought they would be for the past 3 years. In fact, by this point, we all understood the Wii U was a financial failure. With Nintendo leaving the Wii U behind and this update to New Leaf, I felt they were telling us that it would be a while before the next game would come out. Whatever plans they had for the Wii U were chucked and they were setting off toward the next console. So this brings us to the most recent years. In March of 2017, the Nintendo Switch was out. The new era of Nintendo was here. With the new era came some interesting decisions. For one, Nintendo was porting many Wii U titles to the Switch. They believed in a lot of games on the Wii U and made the decision to port them over to the Switch to be enjoyed by fans who skipped that console. The most successful of these ports was by far Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This version of the game included all the DLC from the Wii U version and a new and improved version of the battle mode. However, this game was also the first time seeing Animal Crossing on the Nintendo Switch. We really didn't have to wait long to enjoy some Animal Crossing love on this console. The Animal Crossing track and characters were back in all their HD glory. Millions of people have now been able to experience what Animal Crossing could be like in HD, but it would be a while before a mainline game would be on the way. Back in 2016, Nintendo announced that they would be making more mobile games featuring Nintendo IP. One of the first chosen for this project was Animal Crossing. After several delays and changes to the game, we finally got a Direct in October of 2017. Nintendo said that the Direct was going to be focused on mobile, and there would be no talk about Animal Crossing on the 3DS or Switch at this point. Regardless, the Direct gave us our first look at what Animal Crossing would be on our phones. They introduced Animal Crossing Pocket Camp and showed us a cute campsite that would be running with the help of Isabelle. While the game is definitely Animal Crossing inspired, fans were still left wanting more. Many left the game to wait for a new mainline game, but others stayed and have seen the game grow and change over the years. Pocket Camp is now at version 3.0 and things have really changed since its launch. They've introduced many more microtransaction tactics like fortune cookies and even a subscription service for bonus features in the game. Overall, the game is a mobile interpretation of Animal Crossing. There's fishing, bug catching, decorating, and even some loans to pay off. It has introduced many new items and features that I think would be fun to have in the next game. My personal favorites are the assortments of new trees that we've been able to get, along with some new amenities that seem like a lot of fun to have in a town. I see the game continuing well into the future, and I wonder how they will change it as time goes by. In 2018, I felt my expectations for a new Animal Crossing game begin to rise once again. I even made a video series before E3 2018 talking about all the reasons it was time for Animal Crossing to get announced for the Switch. While Nintendo skipped news for Animal Crossing at E3 2018, it wouldn't be too long before we got some, and it was an emotional whirlwind. The end of the September Direct in 2018 was one for the ages. After all this waiting, we would finally get a glimpse of Animal Crossing. Isabelle appeared on screen fixing up the mayor's office, and we all went wild. Finally, an Animal Crossing announcement. Of course, the scene kept going for an excruciating minute before we found out what was going on. This wasn't the new Animal Crossing game. Instead, this was the announcement that Isabelle would appear in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It was a rush of emotions, excitement, disappointment, happiness, unease. There was no clear way to feel until the follow-up to her Smash trailer. Tom Nook appears on our screen, and at this point, we are on edge. As he talked, we wondered, is this a new game, or is he in Smash 2? What are we supposed to trust anymore? However, we finally got our confirmation that a new mainline Animal Crossing game was on the way, and the wait wouldn't be too much longer. The next game was slated for 2019, and we were left to wait and see what the end of this decade would bring us. So here we are. It is 2019, and what a year it has been. We finally know a game is on the way, but the wait continues. So here is the timeline of events for this year. In February of 2019, Nintendo decided to skip giving us news for Animal Crossing, even though we all expected it. At E3 2019, Nintendo finally revealed Animal Crossing New Horizons, but simultaneously delayed the game to March 20th of 2020. E3 2019 also had a Nintendo Treehouse segment focused on New Horizons that gave us much more details on the game. A September Direct provided additional footage for New Horizons and a bit more details about some gameplay elements for the game. In November, we got an announcement on Twitter that Pocket Camp would get its own Twitter handle to cover updates for that game, and the official Animal Crossing Twitter account would be focused on New Horizons. We are now entering the last month of the decade, and it has overall been a very interesting decade for Animal Crossing. We received one mainline game, 3 spin-offs, an update to New Leaf, and various cameos throughout other game series. While the first decade of Animal Crossing seemed focused on the main games and growing the gameplay, the second decade has felt a lot more experimental and more focused around growing the franchise. Animal Crossing is a huge game for Nintendo. During this decade, New Leaf became the best-selling Animal Crossing game of all time, with 12.36 million copies sold. It makes sense that Nintendo would try to expand the franchise in some way. While I enjoy spin-offs, I can't help but think that they came at an unfortunate time. Overall, the decade felt like we were waiting for a game that wouldn't come until the next decade. It was easy to be frustrated with the constant spin-offs when they weren't exactly what we were waiting for. The release of the Wii U really put us in the mindset for HD Animal Crossing, and luckily, that version of Animal Crossing is on the way. Animal Crossing New Horizons is currently set to release on March 20th, 2020. We're going to be starting the decade off strong. So with just over 3 months left to wait, I'm excited to see what this next year and this next decade will bring to the series. Stay tuned for my video covering my ideas on that. If you enjoyed this look back at Animal Crossing this past decade, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. I've been covering this series for a while, and I have many plans for New Horizons. I also host a podcast called Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast. Be sure to check that out for more in-depth Animal Crossing content. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you all next time. Bye!